Hello, my name is Wendy Van Norden. I'm a leader with the Sierra Club, and I'd like to take you to the Galapagos Islands. This is the third in my series of videos about the Galapagos, and it's likely to be most people's favorite because it's about the wonderful animals of the Galapagos. Now, in my previous videos, I talked about these guys. These are the marine iguanas, or the Darwin finches, and of course, the great tortoises. However, there are so many other wonderful animals in the Galapagos, too many for me to include in this short video. So let me introduce you to some of my favorite. Everybody's favorite bird in the Galapagos tends to be the blue-footed booby. Now, the blue-footed booby got its name from bobo, Spanish slang for stupid. Let's face it, this bird does not look terribly intelligent. The Spanish thought they must be stupid because they didn't run away. T-shirt manufacturers, of course, have made a lot of money based on these ridiculous names. About half of the blue-footed boobies in the world nest in the Galapagos Islands. The best thing about watching the boobies is to see their dance. The male will dance and whistle and flap its wings for the female. And if she likes it, she will start to mimic him. So let's see. Here he goes. Those feet, those are beautiful feet. And a little wiggle. Okay, here comes the big finale. Oh yeah. Is she impressed? Well, she's starting to mimic. I do think he made a conquest. There are also Nazca boobies that look a little more sophisticated, and the brilliantly red-footed booby as well. All boobies have a habit of laying eggs at different ages. So here's the mom with her hatchling, and little brother or sister is still in the egg. Why would boobies do this? It turns out it's a very good survival mechanism during times of need, because if times are tough, the oldest sibling can always eat their little brother or sister. The waved albatross is amazing. They breed almost exclusively on the Galapagos island of Hispaniola, and they can soar for hours on their 8-foot wingspan. They go all the way to Chile and Peru to forage and come back to nest on the Galapagos. It's beautiful to watch them soar, and it's funny to watch them take off or land. Those are big birds. Another big bird is the frigate bird, or the great frigate bird. Now, this brilliant red pouch is not for fish like a pelican's pouch. It is to impress the ladies. When the frigate birds are flying, you can tell them by their split tail and their very angular wings. I've always thought they looked like pterodactyl wannabes. And I've always loved my husband's description of the Galapagos Islands as a cross between the Garden of Eden and Jurassic Park. The sea eagle is not a bird, it is a ray, a beautiful spotted eagle ray, and it is 10 feet wide, but not as big as the manta ray, which can be as much as 20 feet wide. Now, if you see one of these rays swimming toward you with its mouth open, don't worry, it's a filter feeder and you are not plankton. It is a cartilaginous fish, just like sharks, which begs the question, are there any sharks in the Galapagos? Well, of course there are. There's the Galapagos shark. Don't worry, if you go snorkeling, you will not see this shark. But if you're lucky, you will see the white-tipped reef shark. Now, he looks kind of fierce, but in fact, he's very docile and simply hangs out in caves. If that confuses you, because you learned that sharks have to keep swimming to get the water past their gills, this shark has figured out how to pump water past its gills so it can just chill in a cave as long as it wants. Of course, the best is the scalloped hammerhead shark. They are amazing. I am not a diver, but every time I go to the Galapagos, I kind of wish I were. But at least I've been able to see hammerhead sharks below me at a place called Kicker Rock. Why do they have that strange head? Well, there are three hypotheses for that. Perhaps the eyes being farther apart give them better binocular vision. Or perhaps it's because for any shark, there are sensory pores that detect the electric signals of the prey's heartbeat. Bigger head, more pores, more prey. A third hypothesis is that it enhances maneuverability when it swims. What's the real answer? We don't know. It might be one, it might be two, it might be all three of those, or it might be something else altogether. I mentioned Kicker Rock. It's one of my favorite places to go snorkeling. It is a vertical wall festooned with coral and starfish and populated by critters like sea lions. Now, sea lions are very friendly. They're likely to come right up to you as you're snorkeling. Of course, you'll find them everywhere, but don't bother them. Especially the males can be very territorial. If they come up to you, give them space, but don't go up to them. Just like the giant sea turtle. These guys will float past you in the most delightfully chill manner. They don't care you're there. They might have a little green on their shell from algae, but they're called green sea turtles because their fat is green. They eat so much algae. Of course, lots of wonderful fish. You've got your parrotfish or your yellow-tailed surgeonfish and your sergeant majors and many more. There are also some pretty wonderful invertebrates like the chocolate chip sea star or this very fancy crab. This crab was named for an exotic dancer called Sally Lightfoot. And there are penguins, penguins in the Galapagos. They're very small penguins, and they're the only ones found north of the equator. Well, not very far north. This is Ecuador. But still, what are penguins doing near the equator? Well, that has to do with the fact that this is not a coral reef in the usual sense. This is not warm like Hawaii. The wonderful marine life in the Galapagos are there because of a cold current called the Humboldt Current. It goes up the side of South America past Peru. It's also called the Peruvian Current. And because it's cold, it carries a lot of nutrients. But when it hits the Galapagos Islands, that cold, nutrient-rich water is going to upwell and bring the nutrients to the surface. There are other currents as well. There's the Panama Current and the Cromwell Current, another cold upwelling current. So the Galapagos Islands are in the center of all of this wonderful nutrient-rich water. And these plant nutrients are just what the phytoplankton need. Phytoplankton are the plants at the basis of the entire food chain. So although this is at the equator, the water is between 71 to 74 degrees Fahrenheit, which is perfectly okay to swim in. But if you want to stay in the water and be comfortable for a while, I recommend a shorty wetsuit. This is not Hawaii. If you want to visit the Galapagos Islands, I have some advice for you in my next video, Part 4, Visiting the Galapagos and Environmental Issues. Hope to see you then.